Hello, Power Partners. Welcome. It's our informational barnyard program, Starstyle, Be the Star You Are, coming to the airwaves under the auspices of Be the Star You Are charity and broadcasting on Voice America Media and on the Empowerment Channel. I am your host, Cynthia Brian. In today's show, we're going to be going into the May garden because a garden is a living canvas of colors, textures, sense, and wildness. And month of May is such a magical majesty in the garden. So I'm going to share how you can experiment with some new specimens, attract hummingbirds and bumblebees, and enjoy the parade of spectacular rose blooms. So join me, the goddess gardener, in the garden in segment one. In segment two, have you ever wondered about people who walk into a room and you are just attracted to them like a magnet? Well, some people have what's called a magnetic personality. You light up a room when you walk in. Is being nice different than having a magnetic personality? It's not narcissism either. So, magnetic people genuinely care about others. If you want to be a magnetic person and light up a room, you want to stay tuned for segment two. The miracle moment for today is brought to you by Be the Star You Are. Visit Be the Star You Are at bethestaryouare.org. And this is a quote by Henry David Thoreau. I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, to see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. That is a pretty profound in nature quote. Well, we are going to go into the garden, and I'm going to be talking to you about the art of gardening. If you've ever had the delight of visiting Singinghurst Castle in Kent, I did that a couple years ago, you will have experienced one of the most romantic and influential gardens of England. Now, Vita Sackville-West was the designer of the garden, along with her husband, who was a diplomat, a politician, and author, Sir Harold George Nicholson. And they designed a succession of privacies, which are actually called garden rooms, where they spent as much time outdoors as indoors. And she wrote this great quote, which I love, and I have really used it in my gardening. If an herb looks nice in a border, then why not grow it? Why not grow anything anywhere so long as it looks right wherever it is? That is surely the art of gardening. Well, they were intellectuals, both of them. Vita Sackville-West was a novelist and a poet, and yet they were not horticultural snobs. Vita was really fascinated by plant novelties, and she adored her roses. Their art of gardening embodied a sense of sustainable wildness that could positively influence our own gardening goals, no matter where we are. Now, May is the month of magical majesty in the garden, as I previously said. After the April rains here in California, our gardens are irrigated, and it made it so much easier to pull weeds as we clean our beds. And I still have plenty of them. I'm sure I'm still going to be doing my farm for another month or so. But the temperatures are rising, that's for sure, and the soil is warm. So this is the ideal time to sow seeds for summer harvests. So much is blooming in my garden right now. Roses, clematis, poppies, passion flowers, azaleas, rhododendrons, bearded iris, lavender, cornflags, Jupiter's beard, geraniums, birds of paradise. I mean, I can go on, and so many more brighten our lives. In fact, just recently, the nigella, which are little blue stars, of which I love, have their buds have broken into those blue stars, and they are just blanketing my hillside. My tomato plants are in the ground, And before the last rain, I actually sowed seeds of vegetables that my family loves to eat, beets and beans and peas and radishes and turnips. And I really heartily advise that when you decide to grow anything, especially edibles, that you grow things that you really want to put on your dinner table. My artichoke plant currently has three artichokes forming. I picked one, it was delicious. And instead of having any stickers where the heart usually is, it was all heart. I mean, so it doesn't get much better than that. Now, like Vita, I have parsley, sage, cilantro, and thyme planted amongst my flowers, and they look terrific together. Now, I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to plant corn this season. I'm kind of thinking I won't. My past corn crops have not been as successful as I hoped. And also here in California, as in many other states, we really got to conserve water. Corn is a thirsty crop. So I think I'm just going to buy my corn this year at the farmer's market. But during May, I really like to experiment with new plantings. And Terra Nova Nursery debuted a new drought-tolerant agastache peach pearl and princess plume. I added to my sunny spots to attract hummingbirds and bumblebees. And what's exciting is that they weren't really supposed to start blooming until June, and but they already have crowned with stately shades of peach and violet, and those are going to bloom until frost, and they're getting tall. So I'm really happy with that. Another thing that they sent me that I planted is called um, Pink Stardust. That's a new addition to my trial garden. It's minty green. It has silvery leaves, which are pretty, and it's will bear unusual star-shaped flowers on sturdy stems. And of course, since my company is Starstyle Productions, I love anything that's star-shaped. I'm drawn to everything stars related, I have to confess. Now, I've also added a river rock canal to my garden. Not only is it functional, it directs rain runoff to my plants, but it's abundantly attractive. My roses, though, are truly the stars of my landscape. The majority are David Austin English roses. They are disease resistant, fragrant, and multi bloomers. And every 2 or 3 days, I spend a considerable amount of time, think 2 or 3 hours, meditating as I walk around deadheading spent blooms. Now, the interesting thing with these roses is within about 2 weeks, I am rewarded with more blooms. Roses are versatile, and contrary to what many people think, they really are easy to grow and maintain. I mean, the thorns are irritating. I really admit that. And it just makes it mandatory to wear heavy gloves when working with them. Now, what I love about gardening is that beyond the weeding, planting, and pruning, my garden is always changing, evolving, and collaborating with nature. It's a living canvas of colors, texture, scents, and wildness. And as I care for the earth, I support biodiversity, and I'm a steward of the planet. And in return, my garden is caring for me. It feeds me, it heals me, it inspires me. And with all its imperfections, weeds, and rough edges, I will grow anything anywhere so long as it looks good. And so should you. Surely, this is the art of gardening. And I have my goddess garden guide for May. So let me give you a few tips that might help you out. Pull weeds while the soil is moist for easier weeding, and continue to monitor your garden for new weeds sprouting. With that, already we had rain a very little bit like a week ago, but already the soil is drying out. So I'm out there weeding every day. And for in my garden, I have to do like 3 rounds of weeding. So reading and weeding. So I first go through and I weed, and then I go back and I get the ones that were babies that are now getting bigger. And then there's a third time. And by the third time, usually the garden looks pretty clean, but it does take me months. Sow seeds of beans, zucchini, cilantro, carrots, beets, or any vegetables you enjoy for a summer crop. And remember, cilantro is very seasonal and it bolts. So as soon as it starts snipping it as soon as it starts growing, and use it. Now, some people don't like cilantro. They think it tastes like soap. It's evidently a gene. You either like it or you don't. So always before making a meal with cilantro, when you have guests, ask them because a lot of people just cannot stomach it. Transplant seedlings of tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants to the garden or to containers. Scatter flower seeds of sunflowers, zinnias, cosmos, and marigolds. My sunflowers are blooming. I love sunflowers. And the good news is that after they're done, I give the birds the sunflower seeds, which or I could eat them, and roast them myself, but usually I give them to the birds. Clear debris, including dried limbs and flammable materials, from the perimeter of your home and garden because summer is nigh and fires are are everywhere. So you got to really make sure that you are hardening off your house. That includes cutting annual grasses and tall weeds to 3 inches or less. Usually the rules are before June 1st as part of a wildfire hazard abatement requirement. Feed your backyard birds with a variety of high quality seeds, and when you do, you're going to enjoy the flighty performances from finches, jays, sparrows. Here I've got California quail, doves, and so many more. And then watch for aphids, whiteflies, and caterpillars. You could use neem oil or insecticidal soap before any infestation spread. Also, upgrade your soil with organic matter and mulch. Introduce your children and grandchildren to the joys of gardening by letting them pick flowers and food that they love to plant. I did this with my kids when they were young, and my adult children are now doing it with their little babes. And kids just they love eating what they planted. Hang baskets of petunias, calibrachoa, or begonias, and that'll brighten your porch or your patio. Deadhead roses and any perennials to encourage additional blooming, and then keep deadheading throughout the season. Prune your boxwoods, cut back any winter burn or dead branches. Add flowers of nasturtium, roses, and violets to your dinner plate. These are all edible and nutritious as long as you have not sprayed them with any insecticides or pesticides. One of my fun things I like to do is to regrow scallions by sticking the root ends in water after snipping. You'll get a fresh crop very quickly. You can put them in the ground or you can put them in water and you can just continue regrowing your scallions. I just have like a pot, 2 pots outside my door, and that way I just, clip, 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 snip, 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 and I have fresh scallions for my baked potatoes or anything that I want. Release ladybugs in your garden if you spot aphids. You just have to remember that ladybugs, also called lady beetles, only stay in a garden when there is sufficient food. So if yours fly away, don't be upset because you can pat yourself on the back. That means your garden is healthier than a neighborhood landscape. The lady beetles or ladybugs, they're going to fly to wherever the food is, and that means a lot of aphids. Now, ticks are everywhere this year. Protect yourself from ticks by applying DEET when you're gardening or outdoors. The research is indicating that the majority of tick exposure occurs during everyday activities, and that includes working in your garden, enjoying your barbecues, or on hikes. I was just reading in our local post here that a person went on a hike on one of our local hills for an hour with their dog and came back and picked off over 40 ticks off their bodies and equal amount off their dogs. And just remember how dangerous ticks can be. Tuck edibles into your flower beds. Parsley and garlic chives look especially handsome as a border, and I know that Vita Sackville West would approve. So happy gardening, happy growing. Hey, happy May. You're listening to Cynthia Brian. This is Star Style. Be the star you are. We'll be right back with a business bite, and then we're going to talk about magnetic personalities. Don't we all want to be that way? Stay with me. The constant demands of business life can make anyone feel overwhelmed and frustrated occasionally. So, if you're feeling stuck, try any of the following. First, take a break by doing something spontaneous and fun. Re energize your brain and body through meditation, exercise, a massage, or even a trip to the beach or the river. Pat yourself on the back. Congratulate yourself for going out on those limbs and taking chances. Remember, no pain, no gain. Let go. If something isn't working and you've tried everything to get on track, it's time to let go and move on. Surrendering does not mean defeat. Ask for help with brainstorming. Many minds make creative outcomes. Nothing is too wild when you're looking for a solution. Just brainstorm. And then go into action because once you've followed all the other steps, get back into the game. Change is another word for learning and growth. And although it may be painful, it is usually a step in the right direction. Remember, you're the star of your performance. Turn your passions into profits. I'm Cynthia Brian with another business bite from Starstyle. For more information, visit cynthiabrian.com. That's Brian with an I.com. Well, we are back. I'm Cynthia Brian. You're listening to Star Style. Be the star you are. This is my playground. Also, I call it my barnyard because every single day I'm in the barnyard with all my adopted animals, and they are my meditation. They're my inspiration, and they really keep me grounded. I mean, you definitely are grounded when you have to muck a barn. Let me tell you that. My boots are indicators of that. But what we're going to talk about in this segment is magnetic people and how you might be able to become one if that's what you want. I mean, have you ever walked into a room or been in a room and somebody walks in and it's just like a light has gone on and almost like everybody is drawn to this person, almost like they're a magnet? That's what psychologists call magnetic personalities. A magnetic person has the characteristics that make them very engaging. They're emotionally present and they create these feelings of deep connection. They're people who really, with no effort on their part, have the ability just to make everyone feel important and understood. I always thought that, and I believe it too to this day, both my mom and my dad had these magnetic personalities. My dad was quite quiet, but when he walked into a room, he was so engaging. And when you were in his presence, you always felt like you were the most important person in the room. He was so interested in everything you said, the eye contact, he wanted to know about you, and you really felt drawn to him. And my mom, who was very vivacious, I have kind of my dad's patience and my mom's vivacious, outgoing personality. She could walk into a room and you just wanted to dance with her. She just had this huge smile and this hearty laugh, and uh, people were drawn to her. Everybody just, wanted to talk to her. So, what is that? Who are these people? And what are a magnetic type? Well, first of all, people who are magnetic, they really make people feel at ease. Other people look forward to seeing them. And the ease part is what is really, really important about a magnetic personality because being magnetic isn't fake, it is just their natural way of being. They have an easier time navigating the challenging world of personal and social relationships. They have an easy time making friends because they're such great team players, and they're highly valuable in work settings because they have very strong relationship skills and they empower other people. Now, magnetic people maintain certain habits and they have certain relationship skills as they move through the world. So it's also possible to become someone who others gravitate to. Maybe you already possess these qualities, but I'm going to just share some of the things that make a person be magnetic. Now, people become magnetic because they have certain core values and characteristics. Magnetism is created when someone has the ability to be fully present. That's not an easy task. That means that they are in the moment and they have a genuine interest in others and they create this emotional understanding. Now, maybe some people are born magnetic, although it can be an acquired trait. I kind of think, I don't know if my parents were born that way or if they acquired it, but they cared about people. And it's an ability that can be innate or it can be learned through interactions that foster the development of emotional intelligence and copious amounts of empathy. Now, nice people are people who do nice things, but that doesn't mean that nice people are magnetic because being nice is different. Um, Generally speaking, nice people don't evoke negative feelings and they're enjoyable and pleasant to be around. But magnetic people's emphasis is not on what they do, but on who they are. They have that unique ability to make you, the person they're talking to or being in the room with, feel at ease, feel listened to, feel like you are, again, appreciated and the most important person in the room. So, is there a difference between being magnetic and narcissistic? And what is the difference? Some people would say, oh, a magnetic person could be a narcissist. And that is really not true at all because narcissists, they can be charismatic in a way that draws us to them, but they do it for their own benefit only. And they are only interested in themselves, not in the other person. But magnetic people are really different. With magnetic personalities, their magnetism is because they are interested in others. They're interested in you. They give of themselves, their time, their energy, their attention. They focus on you, not on them. And here are some things that magnetic people do on a regular basis. They listen with genuine interest. We all feel good when people listen to us with interest and understand what we're saying, but magnetic people are extremely skilled at doing this because they really like doing it. They really do care. They make regular eye contact. I mean, they're focused on you. They're aware of the power of eye contact. They have that ability to look into your eyes. They're not distracted by their phones or other people. They're not looking around the room to see who might be more important or who they want to talk to next. No, they are focused on you and you only. And they're really comfortable in their own skin. This one shows, it shows that they're confident, um, and it's coming from the inside out. Magnetism is really from the inside out. I just saw an older movie the other night. It was called Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. And it was about, and it's on Netflix in case you want to check it out. It's a feel-good movie. It is about an English cleaning lady who works for all these wealthy people who don't treat her right. And she, after seeing this beautiful Dior dress, she decides that she's going to save her money, and that's what she's going to buy a Dior dress. And this is the 1940s, I think, the 1940, yeah, mid 40s, right after World War or during World War II, and it's very expensive. But what's so beautiful about this movie is she has a magnetic personality. When she gets to Paris and she's with all these uppity ups and snobs, people just fall in love with her because she is who she is and she's very interested in these people. And what I learned just from watching that movie is how magnetic people are comfortable in their own skin. It doesn't matter what they wear, it's their body language, their energy, everything exudes that they are at ease with who they are. So magnetic people feel confident from the inside out, and that shows, externally. And they share and they show a passion. When somebody is magnetic, they're really passionate about something. And you can expect them to share details rather than generic, descriptions because magnetic people have an enthusiasm. So we find them engaging and we'll be drawn into a conversation maybe about something we didn't know very much about when they maybe first brought it up, and then we grow and learn together. So that's very exciting. Also, magnetic people are always looking for new experiences and they want to deepen their understanding of subjects they already know about. So that's why they're so interesting because every time you are around them, they're showing their interest in you, but we're finding new ways each time that will continue to help us learn and grow. And magnetic people are very generous with their knowledge. They'll share it in a way that does not come off as bragging or patronizing or anything else. And the most thing that I like and I employ myself is magnetic people smile a lot. In fact, probably all the time. And it's because they really enjoy what they're doing. They enjoy being around others. So it's easy for them to smile. They're not forced smiles, they're genuine. It's stemming from the enjoyment of being with you or whatever they're engaged in. And also they balance humility with confidence. They don't think too highly of themselves, but they also don't present themselves as less than. They they're not asking you to reassure them of how good they are. They share credit when share credit is due, and they acknowledge that they're a product of the assistance of others, that they've stood on other people's shoulders. So humility is something they embody. Also, although they're not martyrs, they don't live life just for themselves. They put other people first. They show genuine interest in who we are, what we do. They don't tell us what to do. They don't redirect conversations, back to themselves. And instead, they recognize that we all have a need, to be appreciated. So I think magnetic people are really great at anticipating our needs and contribute to our desire to be with them. They really remember the details. They ask follow-up questions. So when engaged in a conversation, they will encourage you to open up, and magnetic people respond to that openness. And that creates a self-reinforcing cycle of interest, intimacy, where every party is drawn to the other. So, just kind of quickly, if you'd like to be more magnetic, what are some things that you could do? Because although many people maybe are born this way or grow up this way, or as I had great role models about about magnetism, we can learn it. So we just have to learn how to, emotional attunement. This requires noticing and responding to someone else's body language and tone of voice. You'll hear what they're saying, pick up on what they're leaving out, but what it really requires is empathy. Empathy is that ability to understand another person's experiences as they understand it, not as we would. So it's paying attention to other people's body language. And it's a good way to begin learning how to be emotionally attuned. So you could practice observing others and really look and listen. And when it comes to listening, be a good listener. Most of us half listen to what others are saying, and the other half we spend thinking about how we're going to respond. But don't do that. Just listen without focusing on responding, and that'll keep you more present. And being present is what is important. And after we've practiced good listening, we can practice reflecting on what we heard, particularly any emotions expressed. We just remember to be genuine, have integrity. You can always say, "I hear what you're saying." That's a good idea. Or you can say, you seem really happy with what you've done. And I remember you telling me about how stressful this project was, but you did it. And then express appreciation and admiration. Once you have mastered good listening skills, you can really move on to expressing how happy you are and how much you admire that person, because everyone in life wants to feel good. They want to be appreciated. They want to be admired in some way. And when it's true, just be honest about it. I really appreciate this. I really appreciate how hard you worked on, this project or what you did for me. And be comfortable with yourself. You have to remember that you are the star of your own performance, right? But in order for others to gravitate towards you, you have to be have your wagon rolling already. Work on becoming comfortable with yourself. What are your traits? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? Write them down and look at yourself, non-judgmental, but just trying to be more self-accepting. So many of us are our own worst critics. So, you know, um, you can always work with a coach or something if you really want to work on this. And just remember, some people really are magnetic, and you could be one of them. The takeaways are that magnetic people are engaging, they're emotionally present, they are connected, they make others feel at ease and confident, and people want to naturally be around them. And it's a state of being, not a state of doing. So it's be first. It's different than being nice because that just involves doing nice things. So never confuse magnetism with narcissism. Magnetic people want to lift others up. Narcissists are only caring about themselves. And magnetic people do certain things consistently. They prioritize continual growth, and they prioritize others' feelings, and they're active listeners. And whether you're born with magnetism or not, you can develop the trait over time by practicing emotional attunement, work on your listening skills, and most of all, just keep smiling. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this program. Make sure you're tuned here to Starstyle, Be the Star You Are, every week with me, Cynthia Brian. You can change your life. You can make your dreams come true. For more information about Starstyle Productions or to purchase any of my books, I have gardening books, self-help books, children's books. I have a dozen books now in New York Times bestsellers. Visit cynthiabrian.com. For the charity Be the Star You Are, to get involved, volunteer, make a donation, visit bethestaryouare.org. Right now, Give Butter is actually going to add $10 to every $5 donation. So you might want to check that out and donate through Give Butter. My aim is always to encourage, inspire, inform, amuse, and motivate. See beyond your physical being and know you are already the star you've dreamed of becoming. But cherish the past, dream of the future, celebrate every moment of your life. And until next week, when we play right here in my barnyard and garden, remember that love always wins, kindness always prevails, but it's smiles that'll keep us happy and help us be more magnetic. I'm Cynthia Brian for Starstyle. I thank you and encourage you to be kind, inclusive, live with integrity, tell the truth, embrace cultures, love unconditionally, encourage others, be generous, read, lead, succeed, communicate, collaborate, innovate. And most of all, be your unapologetically authentic self because everyone counts. So go out into the world, be the star you are, make it a fantastic week, and have a great, wonderful, rose-filled May. Thanks so much. I'll be